Hello, and welcome to Shantae's Corner, where we are here to uplift, support, and encourage one another. So, I just got this video idea. I am in the middle of my morning walk, and I decided to share it with you guys. Right now, I am living in Texas, and I was born and raised in Georgia. And I lived in California, Northern California, Sacramento, for 7.5 years. I've been here in Texas for a little over 4 now. So what I wanted to talk about is weather. It's cold and I'm coughing. It was down to 29 here this morning in Texas, and I'm cold. But I would much rather this to being hot. I much prefer the cold to the hot. So I want to talk about the different regions. Like I said, I can only speak for the 3 states I've lived in, the 3 areas, because California is a big state and I didn't live in Southern California. I lived in Sacramento. So I want to talk about the states I lived in and what I preferred about each state. So like I said, I was born and raised in Georgia, spent 30 plus years, 32 exactly, in Georgia, born and raised. And what I love about Georgia is we experience every season. I love the fall time. Fall is my favorite season in Georgia. I'm into the beautiful leaves, the colors. I love it. The humidity, not so much. I've lived through hurricanes. Hurricane Katrina, luckily we didn't get that much of that hurricane, and the hurricane, a lot of them I don't remember because I was younger, like Andrew, Hugo, things like that. I do remember getting, some of the storms and stuff, the rain and stuff from it. I don't remember like any devastating, like what just happened in North Carolina with the lane. I don't remember anything like that in Georgia, but we would get the weather from it, the rain. We would get flooding. We dealt with tornadoes. And when I moved to California, that's why people would tell me they didn't want to live in Georgia, because they didn't want to deal with the hurricanes and the tornadoes and things like that we get. And I would tell them I would prefer that over the earthquakes. Now, when I did move to California, I experienced a couple of tremors that were much of nothing. I barely noticed them. I was just sitting on my sofa one time, and I kind of felt my sofa moved. And I think one time we experienced one where I was in the bed. So I didn't, experience like the earthquake of '89 in San Francisco. And the funny part is, when I was living in California, they started having earthquakes experienced over there in Georgia, which is why if you ask most people from Georgia, they don't want to move to California because of the earthquakes. And it's the opposite with people in California. They don't want to move to Georgia and places in that area because of the hurricanes and tornadoes and all the other stuff we deal with, the flooding. Oh, and also in California, I experienced the fires. Oh my gosh, the fires. I lived in Sacramento during this 2018 fire that hit the town of, I think it's Paradise, where if you go back to my very first video on this channel, that's actually during that time, you can see how the sky was very foggy, like it stayed that way. And that's when I developed allergies. I never had allergies in Georgia, never. But living in Sacramento, I started dealing with allergies. So I would note that. However, what I do love about Sacramento is the lack of humidity. I much prefer that. The hot, I would be outside on the hot 112 days with no humidity versus the 90-degree day in Georgia with the humidity. And here in Texas, I'll take California any day. And that's, for me, from what being here, the years I've been here in Texas now, Texas is more so like Georgia, except I guess their thing is more extreme, I guess I remember, like, now with it being cold like this, I don't remember getting, the temperatures dropping like this. And then they seem to have more severe storms here, a lot more severe storms, when we do have them. And I moved here right at the end of 2020, so I experienced that big snowstorm we had here. The house we lived in, we lost power, so we were without power. We were without power for 3.5 days, and so thankfully, my roommate's parents were here, and they were in an Airbnb, and they had power, so we stayed with them. And then I just experienced hurricane. What's that storm we just had? Beryl, where I'm staying now, and we were without power for 9 days during the summer. So the first time was with the snowstorm, and then with the Hurricane Beryl, and that was horrible. So I don't wish that on anybody. And I know my family in Georgia just experienced that with Hurricane Elaine too. I think, some of my family were without power for weeks where we're from. So that's the thing about living here in Georgia and in Texas. I mean, from my understanding, this doesn't happen, but yeah, since I've been here, I experienced here in Texas the ice storm and then the Hurricane Beryl, where I lost power both times and was without power. But it was, oh my gosh, that was horrible. Summer, I don't do well. I much prefer the cold. As you see, I'm outside fanning. I can do this, but I cannot do the heat like that. So yeah, I much prefer the summertime. See, I'm misspeaking. I much prefer the winter time. I'm a winter girl. So that's what I have to say about the different states that I've lived in: Georgia, Texas, California. I much prefer the winter time. So I guess if I could say a favorite state, it would be California, although I don't want to live there again. But I did enjoy the weather in California. I had some great experiences in California. However, I do love the 4 seasons that you do experience in Georgia. So in that case, it's kind of hard to pick a favorite. I love them all. So that's my opinion. So what do you guys think? Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.